Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the single player Let's Play series. So, I actually have a plan. Last episode we spent a long time working on our lovely little windmill setup, and I have no complaints. It works great, it's exactly what I wanted. The list goes on, it's great, what can I say? This episode, however, is going to be a little bit more difficult. I have a plan, but it's gonna require Silk Touch. So, I don't really have a way of just getting Silk Touch. There's a little more to that. So what I might do is I could do the Silk Touch augment if I wanted to, but I don't have a drill. And so I think our best bet is to make another Silk Touch tool, or a Silk Touch tool rather. And I just got back on, and it looks like Spec is on. So we can basically just kind of briefly assemble a few resources that we need. So, we're going to want to get a Silky Jewel because we're going to make another tool. It's been a very, very brief time since the last tool we've made, so, you know, not exactly veering away from Tinkers, but whatever, you know, it works. They're great. I think they're reliable tools, and so we'll just go with Silk Touch. Now, I'm going to make another tool for this, which I'm going to do probably Cobalt. Yeah, I'm thinking Cobalt. And we'll do probably pretty much the same thing as what I have now. We're going to lose a lot of speed on the Silk Touch modifier. So I'd like to regain some of that just by bumping up to 50 redstone. And I'm just kind of unblocking a few of my blocks of redstone that I had there. So we'll bump it up with a piece of redstone, and I'm going to need some paper, and I do have just a little bit. I don't remember if that's enough. I think it is. So why don't we go get these tool parts ready? You know, I'm also going to need clay, if I remember correctly, because I don't think I've made a lot of these out of any real materials yet. So, yeah, fun stuff. I know I've got a real cast for the pickaxe head, but I don't know if I can say the same for anything else. So I guess we're going to find out. Josh still hasn't been back on yet, but it hasn't been that long since I last recorded, so that's kind of a fair assumption for him to not have been on yet. So what we can do, though, is, let's see, somewhere around here. There we are. Oh, and I do have a tool rod cast. That's very convenient. So we will wait until our copper has melted, and we can go ahead and power this on, and let that cast into our tool rod, and then put that away. So I'll be just waiting until our cobalt is molten. There we go. Well, that didn't take long. We can go ahead and turn the lever off and acquire the parts that we need. So we should have that in there. I'll bring these with me because I should probably have those anyways. And if we run over here to the part builder... Oh, did I not configure this right? That's a shame. I like it when they're configured right. Okay. So we have everything we need. And the one thing that I forgot to bring was a mending modifier. So why don't we get that? I don't know if I have any more mossy cobblestone. I may have to be cheeky and use... do I have any mossy? No, it doesn't look like it. I might have to be cheeky and use mossy brick, which is not my favorite solution, but it's a thing. So, I mean, to be fair, there are other things that you can craft mossy bricks now. So you can see there's a few options. So I don't know if I want to be concerned by it as much as I am. But I do definitely want to have auto repair. We'll grab ourselves 10 levels. Beautiful. So now we should have everything working. So you might be wondering, why do I need Silk Touch? What have I ever used Silk Touch for? Well, the answer is not very clear on the surface. But if you think about it, what's one of the few resources I've ever mined with Silk Touch? If you guessed redstone, you're right, and if you didn't, don't worry. I needed this for redstone. That's all I really needed this for. And it's definitely a really, really, really interesting plan that I have. I played around with it in my single-player test world, and it worked out. I think it's going to be a fully sufficient form of creating at least, if not more than, 2,560 RF per tick, which is an obscene amount of RF to have, if you ask me. So yeah, now we just need to find cinnabar, and we do have some relatively nearby, apparently. It claims that I have some here. I'm pretty sure I've mined it, but maybe I haven't. So we're going to run over here and see. I swear that I have, though. And if not, then great. So, and let me see. If it's right here by the water, then I have totally mined it. Not really sure what that is all about, but yeah, no, I've mined this one. I know I have. I'm not really sure why I left it on there, unless I didn't completely empty it. Because the waypoint says, like, here-ish, so maybe I did. I'm not sure. Let me come over here. Someone else certainly looked for it. Or was that me? Maybe that was me. Well, I'll come back when I potentially find something. And if I do, then yay. And if I don't, then eh. So that was a no-go. We'll try the next one. And the reason I'm even going to record this is because I've had a lot of people who are complaining about not finding these. So I'm going to find another one on camera, another ore or a mineral deposit, so that people can see how to find them. Because I've had several people claim that there just wasn't a mineral vein where there was a sample. There's always a mineral vein where there's a sample. There's no chance for there not to be. So unless something odd is happening that I'm not really anticipating, it should really just be right there. Like, shouldn't be a problem. You should just have to look around a little bit. It's not easy, but it's not hard. So this was where I found it, huh? Okay, so it was in this chunk, right? So if I'm in this chunk, we'll start digging down. Of course, don't be dumb. Dig down with some logic. I'm hoping that no one has beaten me to this one. And so there's a chart. You kind of just have to estimate. If you know the Y levels that you can find everything on, then you're kind of good, but it's very hard to know for sure, which is why I've got the wiki page up. But the vanilla ores spawn at the vanilla heights, and so basically we can find these at lower levels. I usually start, for this especially, if I go and pull up the page just to be 100% sure. The height for redstone is usually like a max of Y level 12. It's like Y level 2 to Y level 12. So I'll suggest starting at Y level 12 to do your bigger mining. And if I do 11's fine, I guess. I'll grab my water bucket because I can already hear lava. We'll put that away. And so all we have to do now, we're in the very center of this chunk for the most part, and I do suggest turning on chunk borders, but you don't have to if you've got a map or something. And it could very well be beneath this lava pool, so don't question that it's impossible, because it definitely is possible. The thing about these veins is that, oh, no, see right there, there it is. So yeah, people just kind of have a hard time finding them, and they don't really know how to look, and that's the only problem. So the reason I have Silk Touch is so that I can come over here and get redstone ore so that I can plant a red orchid. You might be thinking, but it's cinnabar, how are you going to get redstone ore? That's how. Bet you didn't expect that. So if you Silk Touch any of the vanilla ore variants, like the coal ore replacement, or the redstone ore replacement, or the diamond ore replacement. It doesn't work with the iron ore replacements. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But if you Silk Touch those, you'll get the vanilla variants instead. Just a little something that I specifically did because I wanted to make sure that life was easier for people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a waypoint right here, and we're going to call it actual cinnabar, and I'm going to make it red, and then I'll delete my other cinnabar. And this is how I suggest, because I'm not going to mine all this cinnabar, but I might need it someday. I might need this much redstone. Who knows? It's realistically possible. I'm just going to lightly torch things up. I need to make a CAD. I might get into Psi later on, either this episode or in a couple of episodes. But you can see, in this chunk, it might be at a very border, but in this chunk, there was cinnabar. So if you know where to look, it's pretty doable. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my way up, and this is basically what I suggest, is find your ore vein, mine what you need now, and then make a ladder straight up and come back to the rest later. So I'll meet you guys back at the house. Alright, so there we go. At this point, we are now ready to go with stage 1. Stage 2 is red orchids. Oh, look at that. I've already done stage 2. Ha! So yeah, when I was digging out the pathway, I managed to get a single red orchid, which was kind of what sprung my thought process on this. I was like, how viable is this? So here's the plan. We're going to make some energetic dynamos. You can make up to 8. I found that up to 8, even more, will actually be supported just fine. But I'm going to do probably just 4 for now. I think that's still 1024 or so RF per tick, which is more than we really need. Then you just use a very easy, you can either make it self-powering, or I like to make things independently powered, and we have independent power creation there. So all we have to really do is hook everything up and get it all going. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a few things that we need. So this next step that we kind of have to handle is getting ourselves a cloche. So the cloche is pretty straightforward. It's been changed a little bit, but I really like it. So it's any glass, an iron mechanical component, some treated wood, and now it's got this vacuum tube. So we need to make an engineer's workbench, which is just a work table and just a few other components. Not very difficult. The engineer's workbench was, what was it again? 3 treated wood planks, a treated fence, and a workstation. Crafting table, whatever they're called. So there's our engineer's workbench. I haven't actually made one of these yet, but we can put it over here because I'm not actually doing anything in here yet. And for that, we're also going to need a blueprint. And there's 2 different blueprint recipes here, so be sure that you're paying very close attention. There's one here which creates, you see it creates castle cartridge, armor piercing cartridge. It makes a bunch of cartridges. And then there's another one, which is the exact same thing, but if you look at the created items list, it makes an iron mechanical component, a steel mechanical component, vacuum tube, and circuit board. That's the one we need. So we need to get, here, let me take a look. We need a engineer's blueprint. And there's actually 4, but the ones that we need are craftable, and there's 2 more that are not craftable. You find them. So fortunately, we need the craftable one, because if I had to find one, I wouldn't exactly be looking forward to having to run around and figure it out. So we need some blue dye. And then we needed, I think it's 1 of each. So it's iron, aluminum, and copper. Fortunately, I have plenty of all of those. And this will make us the components that we need. So the last thing is I want to see how do I actually make a vacuum tube. So we need just any glass, a redstone, and it looked like I need a piece of copper so that I can make 2 of the cables, or is it just 1? That's right. I'm thinking if I had one of those nifty metal presses, which I don't yet, but I plan on making one pretty soon. So now, if I run over to the engineer's workbench, toss that in, and now you can see it's going to show me everything that I need, and if I just give it the resources here, I can just pull them out. So, very useful. And do I have to make this in here? Doesn't matter. Oh, it's cheaper if I do, so I should, because it would be kind of wasteful not to. Cool. I had no idea that that was a thing, so very nice to learn something new. So to make one in here is 2 iron plates and a piece of copper. Iron plates are pretty easy with the hammer, so I'll just do that for now. But I need to make a plate press, for sure. So we can do those and get ourselves the iron mechanical component. And now, between the iron mechanical component and 2 treated wood and our vacuum tube and 4 glass, we should be able to get ourselves our cloche. So, like I said, the cloche is very cool. We just needed 1 piece of redstone ore for it, but I grabbed a few extra, and I'll just keep them stored up in our little ore and box, or ore and whatever box, and we can just use it here in case we decide we want to expand on this. So, my layout for this was pretty straightforward. I had a aqueous accumulator with just some very simple fluid ducts, and I guess I can just use those, the cold fluid ducts. Yeah, perfect. So I had an aqueous accumulator, which was not that difficult to make. I forgot that I did not make these recipes hard, which many people are very happy and other people don't care, so whatever. I'm glad some people are happy. I need copper and glass. I should have thought of that. So let's do copper. And then that. We're going to need another bucket, so we can grab that. We need, 2 iron gears. Tin gears, not iron gears. And there we go. Aqueous accumulator. We already have 1 bucket. We'll grab another bucket in just a minute. We need to get our power over to this guy, which isn't really a big deal. And let's see. We can just use like our conventional ducts and stuff. We have a decent amount of ducts. Or I guess we could just use our wire connectors too. We can stay semi-conventional. And then the last thing is I want to use the few pieces of leather that I have to make a conveyor belt. And I might have enough. I'm hoping that I have enough. But we're just going to have to see. So if I make a conveyor belt, and then I also want to make these dropping conveyor belts, because I'm going to want, I think, at least 4. Oh yeah, I've already got iron. How many does this recipe make? Okay. Well, we'll make 4 of these for now, and then if I just use those... Hello? That's some fishy behavior. Okay, well, I guess we're not gonna make them. Did I just dupe that? I guess I have come up with a really good dupe glitch. That's odd. Okay. This is making me very uncomfortable. Okay, so that part is working. And so I guess I don't need these, because those were fishy. So I've got my 4 conveyor belts, and I've got just my normal conveyor belts as well. I'm trying to think of what else. And let's see, we have our conveyor belts. We need our dynamos now. So the dynamos... Oh man, I was hoping he would stay around. The dynamo I'm looking at is the enervation dynamo. And I think, like I said, I'll probably just make 4, which is going to require a decent amount of electrum. So why don't I get the electrum smelted up, and I'm also just going to kind of start to map this out in the world, because this is going to take a decent amount of space to set up. And I think it's going to go in here, but I don't necessarily know where, so I want to make sure that that's not going to get in the way or intervene with anything kind of dumb. So let's handle that, and I will be back in a bit. So there we go. That gives us a few of our innovation dynamos. And I'm thinking I'll probably just put them here. And I was going to make 4, but I think I might just make 3 because 1, I ran out of resources. And 2, if you really think about it, it's kind of better to have an odd number just for the sake of having symmetry in this room. Now I'm going to have to rotate these, which is inconvenient, but possible. And so the way this is going to work is like so. Ah, I forgot to make a trash can. That's the last part of this. And actually, I planned originally to put this in the ground because normally cloches just look better like that. But I think it might actually be perfect at this height. So why don't we do that, and then we'll grab a trash can. So for the trash can, we just need some stone. Not snowballs, just stone. And a chest. So, we will have the following. We will do dropping conveyor belts facing right. So they'll go into this chest if they can't go into the dynamo here. That's kind of the plan. And then we will just cover that right up because we don't even care. And now, I just need to figure out a few other very small things. So I need to get this guy water, which will come from an aqueous accumulator, of course. And we will put it down, and I think I should just need this. And you're going to fill up with water very quickly. If I can, which I cannot, but if I can, there we go. Get on top of that. Now all I need to do is run some wiring over. So what we'll do, let's see, if it's lined up with that one, then we'll make this one lined up with this one. We can just run across there to there. And then we'll do here to here. That's not the right place, is it? No, it is. Okay. And then there to here. So we should eventually get power. It takes just a second to update, but each time I open this, it should have just a little bit more than last time. So our little donkey friend here is coming over to help, and I'm just going to scoot him out of the way. So, we need to get our conveyor belts hooked up here. And I had originally made, whoops. Originally I had made a elevator type conveyor, but I'm remembering that they fixed a bug that I was having with them, so that might not even be necessary. Plus, I also forgot that these guys, interestingly enough, output at this level. It's a little bit atypical. So now, all we have to do is plant our red orchid plants and our redstone ore, and it'll start growing. And when it grows, the redstone should get deposited into here, which I can actually give these a bit of a boost for now with my own redstone. But I was testing this. If I had 8 of them, right? I filled them all up completely with redstone. And after filling them up with redstone, I actually had redstone pretty consistently going into the trash. Now, of course, we're not actually using this energy right now, so we might want to look into that. Definitely would be a good idea. But part of the problem with that is the idea of getting power into the system in the first place. So we'll have to consider sort of our options there, because I don't necessarily know what we should do about energy storage at this point. We don't have any at all. And right now, this is running off of the windmill, and you can see it's obviously doing just fine. And we should be like 30 redstone or so. Yeah, about, pretty close to it. And so if you want to watch what happens, it's actually really entertaining. No, don't throw that away, please. If you want to watch it go up, it'll literally just kind of come up and then get sucked into here. So let me go grab some more redstone so that I can show you the potential for this to be, what's the word I'm looking for? A closed loop, I guess. The other problem is, again, I don't really have anywhere to put this power right now, so... you know, why don't we make a leadstone energy cell? Or even maybe something nicer than that. How about... We'll start with leadstone. Leadstone should be pretty straightforward, right? Yeah. So iron, lead, and glass again. How am I missing electrum? I had electrum. Maybe I did make... No, I did use it all. That's right. Oops. Well, that's fine, because we just need to do that. And then this guy needs 2 more lead and a redstone block, which I'll just make a redstone block off of what I've got now. And then if I look at the upgrade kit, the next tier is just redstone, bronze gear, and some invar, which I should have somewhere. There it is. And the tier after that is electrum, which I'm not in the mood to do right now, because I'm out. So we can apply that, and now we have a decent amount of energy that we can store. Why don't we take a look at it? So we can put this down, and you should be inputting. And you can see it's getting a decent amount of power. I mean, considering the state we're at. So this guy's already full, that guy's pretty full. And if I fill this guy up, then watch. We'll just let this run, but this doesn't actually drain through redstone very quickly. So whenever we do go through, I mean, you can see the redstone already is getting thrown in the trash can because we don't actually need it right now. This guy seems to... There we go. So now this one finally ran out of power and decided to use a redstone. Just one at a time. Very, very little power draw. So what I'm probably going to do, because I do think this system looks pretty cool, is I'm probably going to decorate this a little bit. No lie, I like how this place looks. And I think it deserves to be decorated. That was not what I meant to do, and now my life is chaos. Okay, that's better. Alright, you need to move, and you need to stay out of the way, or else I'm going to put you in the crusher. Considering I stole you as a joke, you're kind of becoming annoying, and I might kill you as a not joke. Alright, and then I forgot to do the top here, but no problem. And I guess we can do this one as well. And why don't we do the asymmetrical leaded glass? because that makes it impossible to see. That's why. What if we just did gray bordered? Yeah, that's great. That's great. So now we can see our entire setup, which is pretty cool. You know, I don't really know if I'm feeling it, but whatever. It's fine how it is, I suppose. So I need to get some more of the stone, but you can see we're definitely producing an excess, and we're producing a lot of power. So I'd have to say that no matter how you cut it, we're kind of doing pretty great. Now what this also means is that we can help our little system out here and make this an output and hook this up out here, and now we'll have power available to other stuff like the crusher. So actually, yeah, we've made a lot of progress this episode, and I was just kind of thinking that anything else I want to do at this point is going to take a while. So I think I might call the episode there for now, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We definitely did a really cool setup, if you ask me. I mean, it's really simple. I think these cloches are potentially incredibly powerful, and not in a good way. They're kind of overpowered. I don't really know what I can do about that. I do like the new crafting mechanics required to obtain them, but they weren't difficult by any means, so I don't want to say that it balances anything, because it doesn't. But cool stuff nonetheless. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys in the next one.